Hello, I am back. I'm hoping the camera is center. I think it is. I got a tripod, really cheap one off Amazon, so I can actually like do things. But do you notice something? There's books. There's bookshelves. This one's empty at the moment, except for my hot chocolate and some textbooks on the bottom because I got two because this one's almost full. I have that space and one shelf and it's full. And so I was like, I'm gonna get two. Makes more sense. Yeah. So I've kind of been really busy with life. Moving, university, traveling, just all the things. I only just got my bookshelves up literally last night because when I was here, I was still living out of boxes for a very long time. So there we do. We have my lovely books behind me. This is going to be well, clearly you know what the title of the video is, a wrap up for June, July, and August, where I did read a lot of books and I don't want you guys sitting here forever. So I will probably try to speedrun a bit of it, hopefully. But we don't know yet, do we? So I read a fair amount in June. And all the months I read a decent amount. I think I read about the same in all the months, so yeah. Also, apologies for the lighting. I'm de-realizing. First off, I am using my camera front facing again this time. Next time I will try to use my back facing camera, I'm thinking. It's just a whole new setup. I'm getting used to it. And my light's right there. And if I had the window open right here, it'd be very cloudy and it would probably look weird anyway. So I just can't win. In June, I read Starlight by Marissa Meyer, which is the second book in the Lunar Chronicles series by her. It's like cyborgs and stuff. It's very cool. I gave it 4 stars. I would have read it, what I remember from it, it was very good and I enjoyed it immensely. It's more dystopian than fantasy, I would say, personally. But it was still like enough of each that I thoroughly enjoyed it. I gave 4 stars, adventurous, fast-paced. It was 454 pages, so it wasn't even that long of a book, really. The next book, we start off pretty strong and we go down really fast. I read Lament, The Fairy Queen's Deception by Maggie Stiefvater. I don't know how to pronounce her name. I'm just here pronouncing names in general though, so if you guys know, you know. And I apologize in advance, as always. I gave it 2.5 stars. It is a series, I think, of 3 books. I think. I don't even know. I don't even remember any of this one, to be completely honest. I remember reading it and not liking it very much. Yeah, it was very, very different than what I remember. Yeah, that's all I can say. I put down adventurous and mysterious, so there must have been some element. It wasn't a very memorable book. I remember the second one more because I did read the second one because I was gonna like, give it the benefit of the doubt. I'm not reading the third one, but we'll get to that later. Medium paced and 325 pages. So a shorter book, but I remember it took me a while to read because I wasn't a big fan of it. Okay, We Were There Volume 1 by Yuki Obata. Was a manga I read. Super cute, 4 stars. It was like uplifting and it was also like a little mysterious, but it was like a cute kind of mysterious, you know, like there was like romance and like, oh my god, why doesn't he like tell me about it? It's like cute high school romance. It was fast-paced and 200 pages. I like having just some good old chill, uplifting kind of fun stuff, like soft stuff, or you know, I like nice, because I read, what you're gonna realize, and what I really realized when I was writing out these notes was I read a lot of dark, mysterious, intense stuff. Lots of times all 3 of those are in the same book. So I like having a mixture of happier and more like chill books to read. Yeah, that one was really good. I'd honestly recommend to anyone who wants to start reading a manga. It's short and it's pretty sweet. I haven't finished it yet because I moved, so then I don't have access to a library as easily anymore, which sucks. But anyways, the next one I read was also a manga. It was Narcissa of the Valley of the Wind, Deluxe Edition 1, and I say that because there was 4 or 5 volumes worth of manga within one book. And it's by David Lewis, Hayao Miyazaki, and Torn Smith. I gave it 4 stars. It was adventurous, emotional, and lighthearted, and medium paced, and it was 560 pages. This book was, I also read the second one, because then I read the entirety of it. It said it was Studio Ghibli, like, produced it, or I don't understand. It had Studio Ghibli logo on it, which is what made me be drawn towards it. If you know anything about Studio Ghibli movies, they're kind of confusing. Now think about that in manga form. This one wasn't as bad. The second one was a little worse. But anyways, it was very good. I like the story. I feel the story we could all learn about now, like today. It was like a lot about pollution, or like the mold, or like the, you know, and I'm like, you know, we have lots of pollution here in the world. We could learn some of this. I don't know. I thought it was very good. It was kind of more, it wasn't super chill. It was kind of dark at times, but it was a chiller book to read. Yeah. And then Vow of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson. I gave this one 4 stars, and I remember nothing because I read it in June, and I've read probably 20 books since then, to be fair. I need to write better notes. That's what I learned. It was adventurous and fast-paced. It was 484 pages. I do know it's a part of a duology, and Dance of Thieves, I think, was the first one. And I loved that one, and that's why I read this one. From what I remember, it was a good ending, but it was kind of like a lot of, oh my god, what's gonna happen next? If I remember correctly, and those books I never remember because my brain, I think, knows if you ever want to reread this, you have to forget everything, which is fine. The next book I read was Shadow Kiss by Rochelle Med, which I also gave 4 stars. Shadow Kiss was the, oh god, which one is it? I think it was the second book or the third book in the, it was second book, I think, in the Vampire Academy series. Adventurous, dark, mysterious, intense. Those are the 4 words I chose on Storygraph to describe it, and I would say it's pretty accurate. I thoroughly enjoy these books. I do want to finish them at one point. I just don't have much access to them at the moment. I live nowhere near a library. I don't own the books. My roommate doesn't have her books here, so I can't borrow them from her. She also doesn't have the 4th book because she has all of them but the 4th, which I find hilarious. But anyways, so I will finish the series. I do thoroughly enjoy it. I'm pretty sure this is the one where it gets a little icky in my opinion. Spoiler alert for the next 10 seconds, I guess. Next 10 seconds. Spoiler. Close your ears. I'll give a thumbs up when you're good. I hate the romance between Dimitri and Rose. I hate it. I hate it so much. That was the one thing that made me want to put down the book. Was that. It made me so gross. Feel so gross. Okay. You're good. You're good if you want to listen. That was so stupid. I'm sorry. Next one was We Were There, Volume 2 by Yuki Obata. Another 4 stars. It was more emotional, this one. Fast-paced and 193 pages. Still super chill, still super like, it might have been emotional, but it was still fun to read. And it was still like not as heart-wrenching and like gut-wrenching and like, you know when you read a book and you sit there and cry? That's gonna be me soon because I'm doing a whole thing with all these books. It wasn't that emotional. It was like, oh, like it kind of pulls at the heartstrings a bit, but it's not too bad. But yeah, the next book, oh, we're in July already. Let's go. June done. July, here we go. Was also We Were There, Volume 3. Need I say more? It was 4 stars. This one was also lighthearted though. It was emotional, but it was also lighthearted. Because some of them I've noticed when I was reading, it was like some of them were very like more depressing. I don't say depressing. Just more like emotional and less happy. And then some were like lighthearted, like fun things were happening. Well, some had both. This fast-paced, 191 pages. The thing about mangas, what I love is I have a page count. I'm trying to reach 50,000 pages by the end of the year, which I'm behind. But I'm also trying to reach a certain amount of books by the end of the year, which is 100. And what I like about manga is most manga are very fast reads, and they're also about 200 pages each. So if I pick up 4 or 5 manga books from the library or whatever, that's for, let's say 5. That's roughly 1,000 pages. and 5 books. And I could probably read them all within a day or two. So it's like, you know, there's positives to it. I do enjoy manga for my lovely page count that I'm struggling with. The next one I read was Cress by Marissa Meyer. This is the 3rd book in the Lunar Chronicle series. I gave it 3 stars. It was adventurous, mysterious, tense, and medium paced. I just didn't like it as much as the other ones. I think my favorite one was Cinder. I think Cinder is probably the best one so far. I still need to finish it. Again, I won't be able to finish it for a while. But yeah, I honestly truly think Cress was a weaker one, but I think it's because I'm assuming in the final one it's gonna, yeah, I think it felt more like a setup book, honestly. But yeah, it was 552 pages, so not that bad. It was a decent sized novel. Yeah, the next one, A Court of Rings and Ruin. I think this is the the 3rd book in the Court of Thorns and Rose series by Sarah J. Maas. What is it? I think this is the 3rd book. Oh shoot, now I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's the 3rd book. I'm just gonna say it's the 3rd book. I could be wrong. I gave it 3 stars because honestly, I don't like the 3rd book very much. It's still good, don't get me wrong. I just didn't like the 3rd book very much. Like, the beginning was fine. I didn't like the rest. It's like, in my opinion, the best books out of that series are the first 2. The rest, I could care less about. But they're still all, like, I like the characters and stuff. It's just not my cup of tea. I put adventurous, and it was also tense. As if you know anything about Court of Thorns and Roses, you would know it is pretty much that is that. I guess I could also add a dark or mysterious at some aspects. I wouldn't say mysterious really, but dark for sure. Yeah, medium paced. I think that's one of my biggest things about this one is it was much less pow 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 like the other books. Other books are very like, here's a bunch of stuff, and this book was kind of like, well, we have stuff we need to do. Yeah, from what I remember. It was 705 pages, so it was a big book. But yeah. And then going from that, we're going even lower down the star list, and we read Maximum Ride, the Manga, Volume 1 by James Patterson. It was 2 stars. I literally just put medium pace. I hated this book. You know I'm nice though, because I only gave it 2 stars. I didn't give it 1 star. I probably should have given it 1 star, but whatever. I remember reading the actual like novels in Maximum Ride when I was very young. Never completed it, never read it in order because my library didn't have them in order for some reason, and they didn't have them tagged. Now they tagged all their books, so I guess I could have reread them if I wanted to. Essentially, the manga was awful. I hated the like cheesiness of a lot of it, and the art style of how they did it. It was just, I didn't like anything about it. Even the story was bad. Like, honestly, even the story made me like, do I even want to read Maximum Ride? Like, is it better that I'm doing it this way, not destroying the somewhat fond memories I already have with the books? So yeah. It was 256 pages as well. So it wasn't a long manga, but it was longer than the other one. So, you know. Okay, the next one. I read this while I was on a trip. So, like, I feel like if I read it at home, it would have been one day, but I didn't have time to read, and I also wasn't really looking for time to read. I was just reading in the few spare moments I had nothing to do. It's called Book of Night by Holly Black. I gave it 3 stars and 3.75 stars. It was very dark and very tense. How do I put this? It was like, it's her newest book, so I'm sure everyone knows about it. It's nothing like any of her other books. It's nothing like her Elfame series, which is kind of what I went into it thinking, which is why it's not higher, because I gave myself very high expectations, because The Cruel Prince is one of my favorite series of all time. Like, I might get the new fancy editions for them because they're my favorite. Like, I love that series so much. No, it's very, very dark. It's still fantasy, it's still magical, and has like, but it's not whimsical. Like, The Cruel Prince has a very whimsical aspect to it, whereas this one didn't as much, if that makes sense. Like, it didn't have whimsical, it was very dark, kind of gritty. It took place in like the modern world, but like some people had magical abilities and some people didn't, and it took place in kind of like I guess like the slums, or like not the slums, like an area that was very like most people weren't well off, and there was like gangs and stuff, but it was all like magic oriented gangs, if that makes sense. Yeah, so that was that. It was a very interesting read, I will say that much, and I think it's just a standalone. I don't think there'll be another one. It was medium paced. I did enjoy it. And it's only 320 pages, so it was also quite short. It just took me like 2 weeks to read, because again, I didn't mean to read when I was away. It just sort of happened. So yeah. The next one I also read when I was away. I read this on the plane, so yeah. November 9th by Colleen Hoover. 2 stars. Now, I will say, I give it 2 stars for the story, because it's kind of messed up. Like, it's a lot messed up. But I will say, I understand why people like her books. She can draw you in. Like, it draws you in, and you're just like, I want to finish it. Like, I think I read it in one sitting. Like, I was on an 8-hour flight, but it was like, I didn't stop to do anything else. I just sat there and read the book the whole time, which is kind of, like, I like to play on my phone and do other things as well, so it's kind of telling when, you know, it's like, she sucks you in. It's like, you read one chapter and like, oh my god, I need to finish it, even if the story isn't very friendly, I guess is the best way to put it. Medium paced. I feel like I should put fast paced, but overall the story itself was medium paced. The writing was fast paced, if that makes sense. Might not. And 320 pages. Again, another short book, so you know. Another reason why I finished it so quickly. Now, August 2022, I think I read 11 books in August. That's what it said when I was reading that. I was like, oh, that's a lot. So, the first one I read was Legendary by Stephanie Garber. So I started finishing this series, the Carnival series, because her next book came out. And I really want to read that book. 3.5 stars, adventurous, dark, mysterious, tense, and medium paced. I like the last one better than the second one, to be fair. The first one's better than the second one. The second one's the weaker one in the trilogy. However, I love the addition of the Fates, and I love the addition of Donatella, I think that's her name now, being the main character, and Scarlett's kind of just there. I love that so much. I liked how it did a little twist, but it kept the creepiness and spookiness of Carnival. I really liked that. It was 464 pages, so yes. Okay, this is the second book in the Maggie Stainfield trilogy that I said I was not going to finish. Ballad, A Gathering of Fairy, was 3 stars. It was better than the first book, but I'm still not finishing it. It was adventurous and dark, slow-paced, and 353 pages. So I'm just gonna be... Essentially what happened was, spoiler for this book if anyone cares, like, the people... Everyone who could be in danger from fairy get put in a school for gifted musical students, and then these musical students are more at risk, but because they're at this school, they should be safe. But also, then one of the characters gets, like, chosen by the fairy to be their leader or something, so they just follow that one student everywhere, and then it's like, oh, well, now all the students are in danger. And it was kind of silly, and, you know, it wasn't really my cup of tea, honestly, but yeah, that was that. Yeah, no, I'm not reading that anymore if there's any more of those ones. The next book I read, though I did thoroughly enjoy, it was called Gilded by Marissa Meyer. It was 3.75 stars, adventurous, dark, mysterious, and tense. It was a retelling of Rumpelstiltskin, where it was like a ghost was Rumpelstiltskin. Ish, I don't know if that's a spoiler. I don't think it was a spoiler. I think it's pretty obvious. And there's like it's like the haunted hunt, I think it was called. They come and like terrorize the town, and it was actually really good. It was honestly, It's hard to explain, but it was really good, and I do recommend people reading it. I really enjoyed it. It was 512 pages as well, just so we know the page count, because I like telling that. The next one was Anna and the French Kiss by Stephanie Perkins. This was really cute. There were times where I was like screaming at the pages like, oh my god, just make up. But it was really cute. It was 4 stars, funny, lighthearted, relaxing, and fast-paced. This is essentially about a girl whose dad is horrible and went, you're gonna go to private school in Paris, but a school that's only for Americans, because I want to prove to all my rich friends that I'm rich, so I'm gonna send you away. And she didn't want to go away. And then she goes away and she meets some friends and she can meet some guy, and it's really cute. And I like cute things as we're learning. So yeah. And the book was 372 pages, so it was a very quick read as well. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was really cute. The next book I did not enjoy as much. It was A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J. Maas. It is the novella between the 3rd and 4th book. Honestly, I think the reason why they have this book is purely to build up some information so you have a little bit more information for the 4th book. Not my favorite. I gave it 3 stars and it was medium paced. It's only 272 pages though, and like there are some interactions that are nice, but majority of it I just could care less for. I don't think it's necessary. Then this is the new Narcissa of the Valley of the Wind, Deluxe Edition 2 by David Lewis, Hayao Mizaki, and Torrance Smith. I am butchering these names. I am so sorry. 3 stars, adventurous, dark, sad, tense, medium pace, 544 pages. This one was very, very confusing to follow and to read. And I'm saying that very honestly. It was a very good book, very good story, very hard to follow at times. But I think that's just because it was just the style of the book or the style of the story. It was very interesting still, but yeah, it was kind of really confusing at times. But I would recommend it, or like, I'm gonna watch the movie, so I'm probably gonna understand that one better than the book, but you know, there's things about it. Okay, the next book. I literally just told my roommate she has to read, so. Vicious by Ve Schwab. 4 stars is in 75, 4.75. I might up it to 5, but because it was so good. It was nothing like I was expecting. It's dark, tense, and fast-paced. But I kind of got it that much, but it was like university students who are like, superpowers can be real, but like according to if this happens to you, and then they figure out superpowers and like they think it's real, and it's like the thesis and stuff, and it's very cool. And I would recommend, and it's just so cool, and I loved it, and I want to read it again for the first time. But yeah, and it was only 338 pages. It was such a short book. She could have gone on forever. She's such a brilliant writer too. I loved how it was written. And then I went to a not so good book. Okay, not so good. It was okay. A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. 3 stars. Adventurous and tense. I will say this book made me hate majority of the characters in that series. Like, you're supposed to feel bad for Nesta. I didn't feel bad for Nesta. I thought Nesta was being a jerk, but then also Pharaoh was being a jerk, and everyone was being a jerk. And I was like, this isn't how anyone is. Like, people should be nicer. And yeah, so everyone was just a jerk in that book, and that is a book of jerks. Yeah, there were some cool aspects. There were some aspects I really enjoyed, but majority of it I was like, you're making me not like any of the characters, and most of it doesn't even make sense anymore. So yeah, there's that. And it was 757 pages. It was a long one. And the next book I read was Finale by Stephanie Garber. That's 4 stars. It was for the last book of Carnival, and I loved it. It was very good. It was a perfect ending, I think, for the series. It did make me sad that something didn't happen, but she introduced a character in the second book who I loved, who I think was supposed to be a villain. Or like, he is a villain, but like, you like him anyways. I don't know. I really liked him, and I think he's in the next series, so I'm really hoping to read that soon. Once Upon a Broken Heart, I think it's called. But yeah, it was adventurous, dark, and medium pace, and 496 pages, and I absolutely loved it. Now we have 2 more books left. I'm sorry this is taking forever, but we're getting through it, and I won't do this again so it's so long. Okay. Kingdom of the Wicked by Carrie Maniscalco. I want to read the second one so bad. 4.5 stars. Adventurous, dark. It pretty much takes place in, like, I don't think it's modern day Sicily, but it's Sicily, and it's like, obviously there's witches and demons, but then there's like super religious, I think they're just priests. I could be wrong, but they're like priests, but they also hunt the demons and kill the witches and stuff. And it's very good, and I very much like it, because the witches aren't like evil. The witches are just normal people who like make food and stuff, but they still get killed. And I don't know, it's very, very good, and I very much enjoyed it, and I want to read the next one, so I will when I have time. That was 384 pages. Very good, very good. And it was just so much fun reading it. I had fun reading it. That's how you know it's a good book. The next book, and I want to make a very key point. These 2 books right here, not these ones. Ooh, these two hardcovers. These 2, only books I have ever bought before the series has been completed and before I've ever read them. And I do not regret it one bit. I will buy the next one in hardcover when it comes out because I love the series that much. It's more of a slow-paced book, but the characters, like, it's a bunch of like different characters. I didn't even say the name. It's Blade Breaker by Victoria Aveyard. It's 4.25 stars. It's a bunch of like different characters interacting. Think like, I know everyone's gonna hate me for this because nothing like Six of Crows, but you know how in Six of Crows Leah Bardugo switches from Kaz and Inej and all of them? It's like that. She switches a lot, and it's really, really fun and enjoyable because all the characters are really fun to like listen to and see what's in their head. And it was 570 pages, so it wasn't that long, and it was really, really fun to read. And that is all the books I have for today. I did it. Aren't we happy? We're happy. I'm happy. That is it for now. It is halfway through September, so in a few weeks there'll be another one of these, which we love. And yeah, I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you're all reading a lot too, and I'll see you next time.